Welcome back to another AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris. Joining me today is Katie McDermott. Now, Katie is the founder of See Me Please, and that's a research organisation that looks at accessibility of tech systems. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Hi, Katie, and welcome to AI in 5. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, Simon.
Now, we're going to jump right in. We've only got 5 minutes. And I first want to focus on the organisation that you run. The See Me Please is a research organisation, right, around accessibility. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's essentially a technology, an engine that makes it effortless for governments and enterprise organizations to access users too often overlooked as an edge case rather. So we provide insights from people who are blind, deaf, neurodivergent, older, English as a second language, and people with low vision. And the thinking is if you can make it really easy for organizations to access those users, you've got the middle for free. So it's beautiful work and technically very interesting in terms of building like an Uber for user testing for people that don't get enough airplay.
And are you finding that there's a big uptake in this? Is this something that Australian organisations, Australian governments are really starting to lean into, or is it still on the edge?
Oh, look, I don't know. I mean, I think it's starting any tech business in Australia. There's many headwinds against you. It doesn't matter how innovative or cool or value add your service is. But certainly, I think it's an emerging industry, an emerging market. And the more services that shift to digital, the more demand there is to ensure that you're not leaving anyone behind.
And what about some examples, like particularly with the lens of AI? Where are you seeing this accessibility really helping and allowing these people to leverage AI?
Yeah, we've seen some really, really beautiful use cases. And I think there's a lot of fear-mongering when it comes to AI. And rightly, there's a lot of consideration around the guardrails, but there's also some beautiful opportunities and very sort of human-centered opportunities. So as an example, we recently did some user research of how people access or would access social housing if they were in a crisis. And one of the participants came to Australia as a refugee from Afghanistan 10 years ago, very, very little English literacy. So the research was done through her translator. And I think sort of there's a misconception that many people who are, adopters of AI are lovers of tech. That's certainly not the case what I've seen. So this user in particular, she couldn't navigate the website, she couldn't understand the content, she couldn't understand the form. And she sort of explained and showed in real life what she would do, would take a photo of the website, she plugged it into ChatGPT, and all of a sudden she's written a letter to the relevant department on accessing that housing that I don't think she would have been able to do independently without it. So some awesome use cases. I mean, another one, some of our blind participants will take a photo of a menu when we're out at lunch and they can independently sort of assess what they want to eat without someone having to narrate it. So there's some really exciting things.
So you're seeing this more as adopting AI as a necessity to help life along rather than because they just happen to love tech.
Yeah, absolutely. People talk about screen readers as an assistive technology. I mean, I think one of the most integral assistive technologies that I'm seeing through all of our research is AI, because it's breaking down barriers and helping people consume information independently.
And what should companies be thinking about from an accessibility point of view when they're building these applications? Do they just build them and let the people who need to figure out how to get around them, or is there things that they could be doing?
I don't know if I got the answer to that, but I certainly think that people are using AI as a more seamless and elegant way of navigating the services or the information they're after. So we're certainly seeing a trend for people to start their search using a large language model rather than a browser or a Google or what have you. So maybe investing in that as part of your marketing and SEO, it needs to be sort of front of mind, would be the only thing I'd add to that.
Yeah, I imagine there's even a mix in the neurodiversity, because some people struggle with text-based chatbots and other people struggle with phone calls, and kind of being able to move multimodal depending on the person is probably helpful.
Yeah, I think it's just got so many different ways of breaking down complex information, and that might be providing an audio description for an image, or it might be, as you sort of say, giving an icon for something that's really complex.
Yeah, wow. Well, believe it or not, we're at time already, but I don't want to let you go without asking you the same question that I ask everyone. And that is, particularly from your lens and your research lens, what should companies be thinking about when they're just starting their AI journey? What's those initial things that you'd encourage them to be thinking about?
Ultimately, think about the people that you're trying to serve. Guardrails matter, but if the conversation's sort of dominated by fear, you're going to stifle innovation before you even begin. That would be my counsel.
And you've mentioned guardrails a couple of times. Where do you see the guardrails being needed?
I think you need to ensure that people understand how their data will be used. You need to be transparent in how you're using AI, but not at the cost of using it entirely. I think that would be an awful outcome.
Okay, that's great advice. Katie, this has been an awesome AI in 5. We could talk for another hour about this, I'm sure. But thank you for being a part of the show.
Thanks, Simon.